In this video, I'm going to tell you how I became PMP certified. Okay, before I get into the story, the actual steps of how I became certified, I got to give you a little bit of a background of who I am and where I came from. And I know quite a you guys have asked me this question before, so just a quick background. So I finished high school in 2000. All right, I'm graduating class the year 2000. I didn't go to college because I felt like college was a real waste of time for me. I wanted to study IT, and almost all the programs they had were basically programming, and I don't want to do programming. So I went to trade school. I took a few courses, and I became A plus certified, a Network Plus certified, and a whole bunch of Microsoft Office programs and whatever. And then I went to work. All right, so I became a system administrator of a school, and I started teaching part time, and I was fixing all the networking, and I started teaching A plus, Net plus, and this went on for quite a few years. Fast forward to 2006, I left the school. I started working full-time in a managed service environment. So we were doing all kinds of rollouts of Exchange servers, ISA servers. It's going to be Microsoft-based technology. I was doing all kinds of router installation. I have a whole bunch of Cisco certifications, whatever. But I also got a job working at a really big school teaching Microsoft, CompTIA, Cisco products. And it was September of 2007. Training manager came, and he said he's looking for a PMP trainer. Do you think you can teach PMP? And I said, well, I really don't even know what PMP is, but what does it pay? And he said to me, it pays XYZ. And I was like, whoa, that's a lot. Okay, the young version of me, that's really a lot. And I was like, wow. I got to get that job. How do I get that? He said, we just become certified. You already have the experience as a project manager, and he thinks I can do it. So the first lesson I want you guys to learn is that good managers can see potential in people that they can't see. I didn't really know if I could teach that, but he believed I could do it. And because of the pay, I was like, I don't know if I could do that, but I'm going to give it a shot because the pay is a lot. And if you think it's going to be easier than teaching Cisco or Microsoft, I'm going to do it. I'm going to give it a shot. So it's the beginning of September, okay? He says he's going to give me a class in December of that year. So I had a couple of months to get certified. So here's what happens. It's September. I run out. I get the books. The good thing for me is that I had studied project management before. I had CompTIA as Project Plus. So I'd taken a 40-hour class. I had become certified in CompTIA's Project Plus, which was good enough to qualify as a 35 hours. Even in those days, you needed 35 hours to get to submit the application for PMP. So I met one of the instructors that was teaching PMP at the school and said, how do I fill out this application? Help me. And he said, Andrew, I got you. And he helped me. I submitted. Great. I got approved. The moment I got approved, this is going to be like mid-September. I bought the study guides. There's 2 amazing study guides. In fact, those study guides still exist today. So I start studying. I studied for about a week. I can't really remember how much I got done, but it wasn't a lot. So I studied about a week. A big project comes up. I got to get it done. I'm one of the big project leads. I'm one of the more technical persons on the team. So big project, I put in a lot of time. And time would go on, and I forgot. Yes, literally, I forgot about the exam. I kept telling myself that I'm going to push this exam off. I'm going to keep pushing it off. I'm just going to reschedule it or something. And that's what I keep telling myself. And now comes down to the end of October, which is going to be about 4 days before the test, 4 or 5 days before this exam. And I go to reschedule it because I didn't study for it. I wanted to maybe take it mid-November. And I didn't. I went to reschedule it to see that. Now, back in those days, it wasn't given by Pearson V. If you remember right, it was given by Prometric. So I go to reschedule it to see that they really didn't have, this is New York City, they never have dates or anything here. So they didn't have the date that I was looking for. So I decided to wing it. So I called my boss and I said, hey man, I'm going to need a few days off. Is it okay if I take 3-4 days off? And he's like, yeah, sure. I said, I got a personal project I'm working on. He said, sure, you're a good guy. You've been working really hard lately. Do what you want. So I told my wife, leave me alone. I actually had small kids at this time. Leave me alone. You just have to handle the kids. You just got to let daddy do what he's doing. So I went and I started studying. I studied for about 3 or 4 days, maybe 10 to 15 hours every day. All right. Now, the problem with studying, here's another lesson. The problem with studying like this, when you put in this many hours, I really don't think it's useful. I think after a certain amount of hours of studying, you actually forget most of what you learn. I really don't know what I learned in that time. You'll understand why when I take the test. Anyway, I studied. I showed up. I would finish both books, read both books pretty much. I don't think I read all the words in them, but I went through them. I did do all the practice questions. I understood as much as I can get. There's no way to digest the material. It's you keep learning. I show up and I take the test. And I finished the test on the day. Now, I would take this test. It was still a 4-hour test. And if I remember right, I finished it in like 2.5, 3 hours. It was a very quick time. I finished it. Because in my mind, I didn't review anything because in my mind, I'm pretty sure I failed. I didn't think I had enough knowledge to pass. On to today, I don't even know how I passed. So I click end and the exam comes up that I passed. And in those days, they used to give you a score and they gave you the passing score. Now they don't. In those days, you needed 61%. I scored 61%. Now, I try to find a score report because I know it's unbelievable, but that is the exact score I got. And PMI doesn't have the score reports anymore. I checked on the website before making this video. So anyway, I got 61%. Barely passed, right? Passed by the skin of my teeth. Passed by a single question. If I would have gotten one more question wrong, I would have failed. So anyway, I passed. And to this day, I really don't know what I know. Like, I really didn't know. I think I went into that exam, and to me, it's a vague memory now, but I think I went into that exam not knowing really anything, and then come out not really knowing anything, and I didn't even know what I did to pass. Maybe I just guessed right and I passed. So then, to make a long story short, what would happen is I would pass, and then I would really start studying because I had to make my own courseware to teach the PMP courses. I liked it to design my own courseware like I do now. So I started making my own course, and that's when I really learned it. Then I would go back to my organization and I would start implementing everything that I learned because it just made, the more I could have implemented it meant I was a better teacher. So I better understood it to teach it. So that's why I did it. And that's why I implement a lot of PMI tools that we have. And my organization loved it. They gave me a raise. I made a ton of money and I was very successful. Then I started a business and here I am. So that's the story of how I passed. Now, what is the life story that I want to tell you guys about in this video? So, there's two main life stories. But before I get to that, just remember, when you're studying, don't do what I did. It was a very stupid thing I did. It would have been best to push off the exam. Okay, don't cram incredible amount of hours like I did. I don't think it's useful. Put in the comments below, do you think it's useful to study for 10 to 12 hours a day? How much of those hours are you going to remember anything? I think after a certain amount of hours, I personally believe after about 6, 7, 8 hours, whatever you learn doesn't stick. You're wasting your time after that. So don't attempt to study for a PMP like I did in just 1 or 2 days or 3 days. No. Take the time, digest a little bit at a time, understand it, and keep going. It'll probably take you 1 to 2 months to do it. That's the best way to do it. So you're not doing it just to pass an exam like I did, but you're doing it to actually learn the materials and apply it. Remember, I would go on to learn it because I had to teach it. But what about you that don't have to teach it after you pass? Then you just probably forget it, right? So I don't want that to happen. Now, there's 2 life lessons that I've learned here. And I decided to make this video because I told this story to my coworkers. And I told them the 2 life lessons that I really learned in this one. And they thought it was really good to tell you. So number 1 is that when you start something, all right? When you start something, you're not going to be the best at it. You're not going to know anything. Right now there's a lot of people struggling with a task in life that they're not going to be, they don't feel they're good at. And they don't know if they'll ever get good at it. And the lesson here is don't think like that. Because later on in life, you're going to be the best at it. So I don't want to brag to you guys, but a fact, this is not bragging, this is a fact. I am Editors, add the Amazon page. I am the world's best-selling, or Amazon's best-selling PMP author. But in that time, when I studied it, I walked out of passing and said, I don't know what the hell I learned. In fact, when I was studying, I didn't even know what the hell I was reading. I didn't know anything. I didn't even know what PMP was. I felt like I couldn't learn this thing. Like this was too much. But years would progress on. I would get good at it. And now I'm number one, right? This Amazon best-selling author. I've implemented all these tools. I teach the PMP Mastermind course. I've taught so many people to improve their project management. I've improved my own project management skills. So the lesson here is, if you're going through something difficult in life right now, where you don't think you can do it, just keep doing it. All right? You're going to learn it, and you're going to be amazing at it. The second life lesson I learned is, sometimes you look at people and you think, I can't do that. That can't be me. I'm just not that good. You know, I was in the gym this morning, and you guys know, if you've watched me, if you watch the evolution of Andrew, I've lost quite a lot of weight. I went from 270 to like 210. And I don't know if I'll ever have a six-pack of abs. I don't know if I'm going to continue working at it. I don't know how great I'll look in the future. I don't know if 1 year from now I'm going to look a lot different, or I'm going to gain back all the weight. I don't know, but I'm going to keep trying. And sometimes you go into the gym. Like I went into the gym this morning. I looked at someone, and there was a gentleman that I know. I've spoken to him a few times, and he looks amazing. All right, he looks absolutely amazing. He's about my age. He exercises all the time. Has an amazing diet, and I don't know if I could do that. And the thing is, when you guys look at me, you may say, "Oh, this guy knows all this PMP. He's the top-selling author. He knows all this project management," and then you don't know if you could become like me. You don't know if you can gain the knowledge like I have to pass your exam. You don't know if you can gain the knowledge that Bob did to pass his exam. In other words, you start doubting yourself that you can be that person, or you can be better than that person, or as good. And the thing is, you shouldn't do that, because reality is, if you put in the time, you dedicate the effort, you're not going to be like that person. You know what I guarantee? You're going to be better than that person. So put in the time, and don't think that everybody was born super smart, because I was not the smartest person when I studied. But I put in the time and effort, and now I'm doing really well. So what are the two lessons? Number one is that if you're struggling, everybody does. We all struggle with things when we start. So please don't stop and don't give up, because you're going to succeed. I promise that. And number two, don't look at others and think that you can't be as good as them. Because if there's one thing I can promise you, you will never be as good as them. You are going to be a lot better. And with that, I'll see you in the next video.